Okay, you're live.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Special Education Curriculum Subcommittee. It is Tuesday, May 5th at 5:38 p.m. I'm Committee Chair Ashley Golias, joined by committee members Jasmine Prezi and Marcus Jaime, as well as district staff Veronica Lenzen and Deirdre McKinnon. Um, I believe the first thing on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Um, does anyone have any changes to the minutes or a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay. I can second that motion. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Awesome. All right. So our minutes from the last meeting are approved. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Veronica and Deirdre.
Great, thank you. Deirdre, are you able to share screen? Do you want to share the slideshow?
Sure.
Okay. So our presentation tonight, as it often is in May, is that we want to share with all of you the plans for extended school year services for our students who have IEPs who require additional service over the summer.
Oops. Can you see that?
I see it. We just need to switch to slideshow to start at the beginning.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Okay. So much. There.
Perfect. Can you click slideshow so it doesn't show the?
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay. Can you see that now?
No, it didn't do it for us.
You
So,
didn't?
all right, well, we'll just look at the sidebar too. That's okay.
Hold on. Why is that not? Hold on. Why is that not
I
doing
don't
it?
know.
Um, hmm. Let me see. Slideshow. It should be. um, Hmm. Let me see. I don't know why it's not.
I don't know why it's not switching over. But
No,
Slideshow, yeah, there you go.
but it's.
yep, there you go. It works.
Did it work? Okay.
We're in. Okay.
All right. There we go.
Perfect. All right. So, basically, the first thing you need to know is that the dates for our extended school year for this year are July 6th through July 31st of 2026, which means we will be providing services for the month of July. The definition of extended school year is any kind of special education or related services that are provided to a student with an IEP when school or preschool programs are not in session. Typically, we reference this for our summer programming, and the purpose of it is to prevent loss of skills. Specific services like the IEP for any student during the school year will vary based on individual needs. Some examples of ESY services that students with IEPs might need are math, reading, or speech interventions, social skills and behavioral instruction support, just related services like counseling or just speech and language. And if they're on the cusp of learning a new skill, services may ensure that learning is not interrupted during the summer. Or students with IEPs may not need any ESY services at all, which is generally the case for most students. It's really a more of a minority number of students who really require those ESY services in order to maintain or prevent regression. We lost the slideshow.
Hold on.
Yep.
Where'd it go? Let me reshare.
Okay.
Hold on. How did that happen?
I don't know.
1 second.
Yep.
Sorry. Nope, you don't want
What I
that.
see over here says click exit, click to exit full screen. So I don't know if you can click, maybe hit escape on your computer.
Okay. Let me see.
Can you highlight where you normally have the X and the minimize in the up in the upper left-hand corner? Because there you go.
Yeah,
So you see that red thing there? That's your A. There you go.
okay.
So
Now share.
you're already sharing.
Slideshow.
Oh, I am
Oh, it
sharing.
is.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
Okay.
is this the right?
Yep, ESY determination. So now that you know what ESY is for and the purpose of it and the types of services that we offer, the next step for us typically in a PPT meeting is we talk about whether or not a student is eligible for ESY, and this is how we determine. There is criteria which you'll see on the right side of your screen. Skills and behaviors that are noted in this list must be related to IEP goals and objectives. And typically we look at whether or not the student will lose skills or behaviors that they've been taught during the program year. And will they lose those skills during these breaks? Will the student take a long time to catch back up on lost skills or behaviors after a break? We typically look at what we would consider the normal summer slide, as we refer to it for all students. But then we look at the fact that special education students may require even longer to make up that summer slide than their typical peers. Is it unlikely that the student will maintain learned skills and/or behaviors due to patterns of difficulty with losing skills and catching up? Will a break substantially reduce a student's chance of ever learning a critical life skill or behavior? We look at whether or not the student is at a critical stage for mastering a skill related to IEP goals of self-sufficiency and independence. We look at whether or not repeated breaks in education programming result in the student withdrawing from learning, which makes it harder for them to re-engage in the fall. And finally, does the student have a severe disability such as autism, intellectual disability, degenerative impairments with mental health involvement and or multiple disabilities? And so all of these, we don't have to check all of the check boxes, but these are the things that we consider as we're talking about whether or not a student qualifies for preschool age or school age extended school year services. The determination needs to be made every year. Oftentimes we'll see students who are younger who do require ESY, but as they get older, their ability to retain skills and not show that regression lessens so that they are able to retain the skills and they don't need the ESY services. And then you might see again towards high school that we do then start to recommend it again, particularly as they get to transition age, to really maintain those social skills and those life skills that we talk about. But we do talk about it every year at PPT. Typically, it's at their annual review. We go through data review, and it is a team decision. There's not a particular formula to determine, but we do consider all of those ESY criteria that we talked about.
So the structure of the program. So for anyone who's in pre-K, they'll go to the school where they are currently going to. So they will get all their services. If they go to Fox Run, then they will go to the school where uh, Fox Run is being held. So they will get all their services there. K to 5, we anyone who um, um, was recommended for over ESY will go to Summer Academy, and they will get their other special ed services, whatever was outlined for them in the PPT within the summer on the academy program. So if they were recommended for, let's say, 2 times 30 reading, 2 times 30 math. They will either get push in or pull out services depending on what is recommended within the on the ESY process. And then anyone who is in the LEAP program, the STARS program, the success program for K through 5, we will be running those programs as well. So they will just stay within those programs for ESY also.
And then you want me to do six, you want me to do
Yeah.
6 through 8? Okay.
Yep.
And then, so for middle and high school, the district does not run the traditional summer academy for those grades. So grades 6 through 8, students with an IEP who require ESY will receive their specialized instruction and related services in a separate setting. This year, they'll be going to PONUS, as they have for the past couple of years. So that will include the STAR students, Triumph students, any success students in 6 through 8. And then if there are other students who are not in those specialized programs, they will also receive their services over at PONUS. And then similarly in grades 9 through 12, students with IEPs who received services for ESY, including reading, math, social skills, and transition skills, will receive their services. Will be housed this year at Brian McMahon High School. Actually the students who are in 12th grade will not be doing that, and I'll explain that in a minute, but grades 9 through 11 will be at Brian McMahon High School. Typically at the high school level, we see mostly students who are in our practical skills program are the ones who are recommended for ESY. There are some other students who get recommended for some reading skills or math skills, and we do support that as well if necessary. And then, as I said, our grade 12 students who are current grade 12 who will be considered graduates in June, if they are recommended for ESY services, it's most likely because they are entering into our transition program, which would be Norwalk Next Steps, Project Search, our 18 to 22 programming. Those students, because they have technically graduated high school, they've walked with their peers, they've participated in all of those senior activities, we do move them out of the high school and we do have them start their journey with transition during this particular summer. So they will be with our transition program, which will be at 46 Concord this summer. We're very excited that we will be able to start there for ESY. And that will be our transition programming, which includes community-based practical skills instruction and vocational experience. So all of our students do actually go out and work during the summer as part of their ESY structure for transition. Does anybody have any questions so far before we go any?
Yeah, anybody, any questions on the structure of it, how it works?
No? Okay.
No question, but love it.
No, it's pretty clear. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Summer Academy is in the building that they're usually in,
They're
or they're different throughout the district. And they're
all different. We'll go into the actual buildings because some buildings are not running it
Yeah,
because of
some are under construction.
construction, AC, asbestos.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so related services for extended school year, we touched upon this a little bit before, but all services are determined based on student needs and they are delivered on site. We offer speech language therapy, which includes articulation, language, pragmatics, which is social language, educational counseling, which includes social skills and mental health therapy, occupational therapy, which is your fine motor, visual motor, and sensory integration supports, physical therapy, which is your gross motor supports, and then behavioral, including BCBA, discrete trial instruction, and supports for implementation of behavior plans. So typically, if students are recommended for ESY and during the school year they have paraprofessional or registered behavior technician support, those paraeducators or RBTs will follow them into their summer programming. And any of the discrete trial instruction that's on their IEP that programming will continue with them over the summer as well, should they have been recommended for ESY. So the related services really do mirror what they get during the school year.
So here is where everything will be taking place. So the program is Monday through Friday this year, and July 6th through July 31st, and it's either 8 to 12 or it's either 9 to 1. So here are where everything will be taking place. So we don't have to read it off to you, but just so that you know, the middle schools will all be taking place at Ponus, which is every single year. And then the pre-K through 5, some of those buildings have changed just because they are doing construction in some of the other buildings.
Yep. And then the high schools will feed over to Brian McMahon, Brian McMahon is actually hosting all of the high school programming, again, because Norwalk High is actively being built. And then, as I said, the transition programming will be over at 46 Concord. The transition programming hours are slightly different from everybody else. They run 9:30 to 2:30, which has a lot to do with business schedules out in the community because we want them to have time to work in those businesses. And then because we do add an hour to their day, we're doing services Monday through Thursday. So it's the same number of hours that everybody else is getting. We're just doing it Monday through Thursday so that they have more time out in the community on those days, which is a similar structure to what we've done in the past with the transition programming.
Any questions about that? Okay.
I just have a quick question. Are students able to attend a related service without attending the actual summer program?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
usually worked out with the related service provider. A schedule is usually set up probably a week or two prior to ESY starting. Once the related service provider knows their schedule for like the 8 to 12, then they'll contact parents and work out times for the students to come in to receive their related services. But they can be received separate and in isolation from whether or not they've been recommended for regular academics.
Oh, by the way, kudos to you guys because it's pretty cool to see that these services are being offered in the summer. That's really cool because that doesn't always happen. So kudos to you guys.
Thanks.
Mhm.
So here is a sample schedule just so that you can kind of see how it aligns just with the day. They kind of have an opening, a 10-minute opener, then they have a 90-minute the reading block, 40-minute math block, center times where they do animals, lunch and recess 40 minutes, and then they have a closing time. So our students are in this whole day, and then they get pulled out for their services, or they get pushed in, whatever is on their service grid. So that's just an example. That's K to 4 Summer Academy, and then grade 5 for ESY. And then here's an example of a specialized program. So I believe this is LEAP for autism. Just you see the ABA on there. The DTI is on there 2 different times. So depending on what each student gets, and then the maritime is on there as well for centers, but they have a full day. There's not much downtime.
And then for middle school, ESY and specialized program schedule, as I said earlier, at the middle school level, the specialized programs and then the regular ESY recommendations are all housed at PONUS. And because there's no summer academy, these are all structured specifically just for these students. So we have our breakfast arrival in the morning, then they do a morning meeting, which is a review of the schedule. They do a social emotional learning lesson and a writing prompt. They do language arts, which includes reading and writing. Guided reading groups with individual work also occurs during that hour. We do a brain break, movement break, very important for middle schoolers to have an opportunity to move around a little bit. Then they work on math skills for an hour, and we build in another brain break, movement break. And there's an hour towards the end of their morning for weekly themed life skills-based activities for students as appropriate. And then they do lunch and dismissal. Such a typical schedule for 6th to 8th graders. And then for grades 9 to 11, Again, typically it's just our practical skills students, and then there's a smattering of students who come in just for a reading service or a math service. But our practical skills students will do morning meeting, they practice reading for information, they work on socialization skills, they write for information, and they also receive their related services. We also look at practical academics, reading small group and math small group. We go into independent living skills for another hour, which includes cooking, more reading for information, and personal finance. And from there, we go into vocational skills. We work on mock interviews, job applications, job exploration, and our PAYS lab activities, which is our mock job skills lab where they can go in and work on projects and different types of industry standard activities so that they can practice those job skills. And then they have lunch and dismissal, and they're on their way. And for our transition program, they have about an hour and a half in the morning where they have arrival, they fill out their timesheets to get ready for the day, they get their related services. They do functional academics, which includes activities of daily living, reading, math, their related services fit into that first hour. Then we build in travel time because they do use public transit. They get travel trained during the summer, especially our new students who are coming up from the high school. So we use that time to do travel training, also teaching reading for information as far as bus schedules, train schedules, that type of stuff. And then they spend 3 hours out in the community doing vocational experience, volunteer, or leisure and independent living practice. 3 days a week is vocational, so they go out to all of our community partners for jobs. 1 day a week, they will be volunteering at places like Open Door Shelter or filling in the blanks. And then they do their leisure independent living. So we'll alternate. So 1 week might be volunteer, the following week will be a leisure. We'll take them bowling or something along those lines. And then they spend another 30 minutes working their way back to program, and then they get their transportation home. Sometimes if they're already back at program a little bit earlier, they might get their related services in the afternoon as well. So they pack a lot into those 5 hours. And
So yeah,
go ahead.
so as you know, planning is a long process. We start planning for summer. For next year, we start now. It's a year-long process. Right now, we're in, I guess it's like the Super Bowl of planning time right now for ESY. So right now, we're finalizing the process for ESY. So PPTs for all students who should be going to ESY, they should be finalized now within the next, few weeks. There's a form that is sent out to all families, letting us know if they do want to come to ESY. Parents do not have to send their students to ESY, but we are asking for families to let us know by next Friday, May 15th. Just because there is, it's a lot of planning. We do create a class list by early June. Busing has to be confirmed with families by late May, early June, and then starts, well, we already started, but we have to confirm staffing. So we have to know who's coming so that we can confirm staffing for all of our programs. So there's summer academy, there's specialized programming, there's transition programming, and then there's pre-K through 12 plus. So it's a lot of staff that we have to hire. So we have to plan for teachers, for paras, for SLPs, for OTs, for BCBAs, all staff. And then we have to let the paras know who is going to be working, and then we have to confirm who is going to be riding the bus. So that's why really the first step is to know what students who will be coming. Do you want to take the next part?
Sure. And then we work on organizing and accommodating itinerant services. Now those sort of go back to the idea of, yes, you can receive, related services during the summer outside of necessarily needing academic services. You can also, at the middle or high school level, we talked about students who maybe only need reading intervention. So we refer to those as itinerant services because they might not necessarily need to spend 4 or 5 hours in the school. They might only need an hour and they might only need it 3 days a week. So we start working on organizing and accommodating those itinerant service requests, working with parents to make sure they have transportation for their student. Then we move into ordering and disseminating supplies to all of our sites. We work really hard to box everything up at the end of the previous summer so that materials that can be reused, things that are not necessarily consumable, can be, busted out and given back out to teachers. But things like paper and glue and the things that, don't necessarily last through a school year, or they need to just use them when they get back into the classroom. Those things we have to reorder, notebooks, rulers, not rulers, sorry, notebooks, folders, those types of things. We try to get enough supply in that every student has what they need when they arrive on the first day, because it is a short period of time and there's not a lot of time to send out supply notices to parents to have them send stuff in. So we try to just have everybody ready to go first day. We finalize our process by mid-June, and then we start working on any kind of training we need to do for any training we need to do for our staff, which we will be presenting on July 1 this year. But we also put together our progress monitoring and data collection systems through CT SEDS, and we develop a system for attendance. Typically each year because we don't use PowerSchool for attendance during the summer, we will set up Google Sheets with the SPED administrators so that we can monitor attendance, but teachers are able to get in and, kind of old school grade book, mark off whether students are present or absent and whether or not a parent has said they're coming, but only for the, the last 3 weeks or just the first 2, because vacations are a thing, and that's okay. Parents are absolutely entitled to take their kids on vacation during the summer. Everybody needs a little bit of a break, but we try to get that stuff in so that teachers are ready on July 1 for the trainings that they need for safety and security and health and all that stuff. And then we're ready to hit the ground running on July 6th. You guys have any questions?
Question? I'll stop sharing.
This was pretty straightforward. I don't have questions. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's nice that the process doesn't change a lot from year to year. It makes it a little bit easier for us to try to, we keep thinking 1 year it'll run it by itself, but yeah.
I was gonna say I don't have any questions, but I know you mentioned the Maritime Showcase a couple times, and I just wanted to highlight that for Marcus being new on this committee, and just for anyone who might be listening. Towards the end of the summer, we get an invite to go to the Maritime Showcase to see the projects that I don't think it's just the ESY, but all of the Summer Academy students work on over the summer, and it's a really, really lovely evening seeing all the projects that they put together. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, for sure. My son has participated in that event.
Okay,
and
okay.
He's made art. Yeah, so it's pretty
Awesome.
cool.
It's a really neat event.
Mm-hmm.
A nice evening.
Any other?
Yeah, well, I agree. No questions from me. Just love the continuous programming that we're, keeping going in the summertime, and the structure that we are providing, and also the flexibility, with those breaks in between. And yeah, it sounds good.
Great.
Yeah, I know this is a huge undertaking. Thank you all for doing this work so that these students have their continued services. I know that that's really important, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate your support with all of it too. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you for the presentation. And yeah, it was super,
of course,
organized and clear.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. I believe that was the only thing on our agenda for tonight. So
that was all we had. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. And no, that's it. And I think if there's nothing else, then we just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
A second.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And this will be our last special ed subcommittee meeting for this school year. So I hope that extended school year goes great and have a great summer. And we'll see you all for a meeting in the fall to circle back on everything.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll see you in other places along the way. But if not,
I'm sure we'll
wonderful summer. And thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.